Do you love Chinese food? Well, I do. So from dumplings to hot pots, Chinese cuisine is one of the most celebrated cuisine in the whole world. So in this video, I will share with you some fun facts about Chinese food, and hopefully you will get some new ideas about Chinese food and develop your love towards Chinese food. And maybe after this video ends, you will crave and then order Chinese food right away. Number 1. Chinese food is actually one of the healthiest food in the whole world. So traditional Chinese food has always been fresh. Besides that, it is usually consists of a lot of vegetables, and then they usually top some meat, seafood, herbs, and spices as well. Chinese people rarely eat canned or frozen food, and back in the day, every ingredient inside a dish is handpicked for medicinal purposes. And most Chinese food are either steamed, braised, or stir-fried, and this way the Chinese food is nutrient-dense and also low in fat. Number 2, you can never eat the same dish twice in China. So China has 34 provinces, and each of the provinces have their own unique food. So this is also something that I learned, especially during my first days living in Beijing, China, because I never thought that China will have so much variety in terms of their food. Because I mean, from where I came from in Indonesia, obviously there is also Chinese food in Indonesia, and mostly are the southern style Chinese food, those who are from Fujian, Guangdong, you know, all those type of food. But yeah, I mean, I've never thought that Beijing will have a different type of food. I thought it's probably gonna be the same with the one I found in Indonesia. But when I first came to Beijing, I was quite shocked, to be honest, because the food itself, the Chinese food, is totally different than what it is in Indonesia. So it is totally different than the Chinese food that I usually eat in Indonesia. And so I have to, I have to adjust the taste to the Chinese food in Beijing. And then after living some time in Beijing, I realized that there are just so many varieties of Chinese food. If you come to Beijing, you will see some Beijing traditional food. So for example, in Beijing, some of their famous dishes are Beijing Kaoya, or the Peking duck, Jiangmian, or their Jiang noodle. Or if you're looking for some snacks, you can easily find people who sell roping or pancake with beef inside, or my favorite, tianping and sojuaping. I can't really describe it in English, but it looks like crepes with some toppings and some sausage inside of it, and with their Chinese special sauce. But it tastes so good. So yeah, I mean, what I'm trying to say is that before I came to Beijing, I've never known that this food existed, because they don't have it back home in Indonesia. Although in Indonesia, there are plenty of Chinese food places that I can go to, but I can't really find this type of food in Indonesia. And that's when I realized that Chinese food has so much variety in it. And when you came to visit other cities as well, like for example, when I traveled to Shanghai or Suzhou, I do find different type of food over there. They have their own specialties, they have their own famous dishes that are different than the one in Beijing. So again, you will never eat the same dish twice, because China has 34 provinces, and everywhere you go, you will be able to eat different type of food as well. Number 3, noodles, rice, and soups are staples in China. So I believe if you came from Asian countries, you will not have hard times to adjust with Chinese food, because basically a lot of people from Asian countries also eat rice, and rice here is also a staple food in China. But if you came from Western countries, then there might be a slight issue, because probably you're not get used to eating rice every day. But don't worry, there are other type of staples that you can choose from, that you can eat as well. So for example, people in the northern part of China, because it tends to get cold in the northern area in China, so people there, they also love to eat dumplings, noodles, and also steamed buns. While for people in the southern part of China, rice and also noodles are staples for their daily life. Number 4, traditional Chinese food is almost completely dairy-free. So if you're lactose intolerant like me, then Chinese food will be very friendly for you, because authentic Chinese food rarely use dairy products like milk, cheese, or butter. Yeah, obviously there are some food that might still contain dairy products, but majority of the Chinese food don't, so don't worry about it. But if you're a fan of dairy products like butter, cheese, milk, don't worry about it as well. There are some other type of food in China that you can still consume that will still be able to satisfy your crave for some food with dairy products. Number 5. Food is served whole in China. So, wasting food is a big no-no in China. So when they're preparing for food, all parts of the vegetables or animals is usually used. So for example, if you're eating Suzhou's famous sweet and sour mandarin fish, you will likely get the whole fish from their head to the tail and including the bones, so everything is used and prepared for you. And in other case, if you are eating the famous Beijing Kaoya or the famous Peking duck, and usually when you are ordering a portion of Beijing Kaoya or the Peking duck, they will even ask you whether you like the bones to be fried or whether you like it to be made into a soup. Number 6. Food is commonly prepared in bite-sized form or very soft. Why? Because people in China, we use chopsticks to eat. People here rarely use knife or forks to eat. That's why, because they are using chopsticks to eat, the food has to be prepared in bite-sized form or very soft so that they will be able to eat it easily with their chopsticks, because with chopstick it is gonna be so hard if they have to cut the meat. And one more thing about chopsticks, in China you are not supposed to stuck your chopstick like this on your rice, because it is considered as bad luck, because that way it symbolizes death and funeral. So whenever you eat at the Chinese restaurant places here in China, please do not stick your chopsticks like that, or else people will stare at you and like they're not gonna be happy about it. So talking about superstitious and tradition, number 7, every food in China has a superstitious symbol. So in China, there is always an attached superstition or tradition behind every food. So this can be based on the history, can be based on the legends, can even be based on the shapes of the food as well. There are specific food that people believe they need to eat in certain events or festivals. For example, during the Chinese Spring Festival or the Lunar New Year, people in the northern part of China will usually eat chaozhou or dumplings. And during the Dragon Boat Festival, which will come in the middle of the year, people in China will usually eat chongzhi or the sticky rice dumpling. So it is made of the glutinous rice with fillings, and it can be either sweet or salty. And the reason why people eat chongzhi dated to century years ago. It is when the famous poet Qu Yuan sacrificed his life to protect his country. So in order to protect him from being eaten by the fish in the river, people threw chongzhi in the river to protect him and also to feed the water creatures. And since then, chongzhi became the food to celebrate Dragon Boat Festival and the food that people here eat during the Dragon Boat Festival. Number 8, presentation is everything. So when serving the food, people like to go extra and they would like to add some vegetable carvings, patterns, and some decorative herbs as well. This is because Chinese people believe that the first bite is with the eyes. And that's why sometimes people can go overboard with the food design itself. So number 9, there are 8 culinary cuisines in China. So these culinary cuisines are identified based on their unique strength and also unique styles. So these 8 culinary cuisines of China are Anhui, Cantonese or Guangdong, Fujian, Hunan, Jiangsu, Zhejiang, Sichuan, and also Shandong cuisine. I'm going to give you a brief explanation about each of the 8 cuisine, and the first one is the Guangdong or the Cantonese cuisine. So Guangdong or the Cantonese cuisine is the most popular Chinese cuisine that is internationally known. Cantonese food is noted for their fine seafood dishes and also rice dishes, and it is famous for their light and sweet flavor with braising and stewing method as well. The second one is the Sichuan cuisine. So while Cantonese cuisine is the one with light, sweet flavor, Sichuan cuisine is the complete opposite of that. Sichuan cuisine is famous for its spicy and bold flavor and often mouth-numbing because it contains a lot of chili, garlic, ginger, and peanuts. So their dishes are famous for the hot and spicy taste and also the numbing flavor of the Sichuan peppercorn. And one of their famous one that is widely available internationally would be the Sichuan hot pot that is extremely hot and spicy. The The next one is Jiangsu cuisine. So Jiangsu cuisine is famous for their fresh and moderately salty and sweet flavor. And they also use precise cooking techniques. They favor seafood, soup, and artistic, colorful presentation as well. So where can you find Jiangsu food? You can easily find it in Jiangsu province, in some cities like Shanghai, Suzhou, Zhenjiang, and other cities in Jiangsu. Anyway, what makes Jiangsu cuisine very special is their exquisite cooking techniques that produce richly aromatic and visually artistic dishes. The next one is the Zhejiang cuisine. So some people feel like Zhejiang cuisine is kind of similar to Jiangsu cuisine because they are basically close to each other in terms of location. But Zhejiang cuisine focuses more on serving fresh food. So the food is often served raw or almost raw, and it is fresh and crispy and seasonal. So some people thought that it is kind of like Japanese food. The next one is the Fujian or the Min cuisine. So for Fujian or Min cuisine, it has a lighter taste with a mild sweet and sour taste, and they use ingredients from the sea and also the mountains. So Fujian province in China is known for the great seafood and soups. And they're also well known in adding much exotic delicacies from the sea and mountains to make their dishes have unusual flavor as well. And then there is Anhui cuisine, which is even wilder than the Fujian one. So Anhui province is an inland province, and big mountains like the Yellow Mountain is the source of wild foods and herbs for Anhui province. So that's why this is influencing their food style, and some of the best dishes incorporate the wild food for an unusual taste as well. So a lot of the food in Anhui province includes wild food, fungi, and herbs and vegetables. And if you're a fan of the Sichuan cuisine, you will confirm love the Hunan cuisine, because Hunan cuisine is even hotter than Sichuan cuisine. So they're also famous with their spicy, hot, and sour taste as well. But it is gonna be even tastier and more delicious than the Sichuan cuisine because they don't use the peppercorns that can numb your mouth. The last one is the Shandong cuisine. So because of their location in the coast, Shandong is the home for seafood. So the food in Shandong is salty and crispy, and they favor braising and seafood. So they preserve the original taste of the seafood by using simple ingredients like braising, and they like to add vinegars and salt as well. Unlike the southern cuisines where they prefer rice over wheat food, Shandong cuisine serve much more wheat food, including their noodles. Number 10. Traditional Chinese meals are shared communally. So sharing food with your family and friends, it's a common thing in China. So it's basically the common eating habit as well here in China. So dishes are usually placed in the center of the table, and then people will sit around it with their rice bowl. So in a common Chinese restaurant setting, the table has to be round because Chinese people do also believe that round tables bring happiness and good luck. So the round table commonly can fit around 10 to 12 seating, and there is usually a round table in the center as well, so you can easily swipe the table and it's easier for you to share the meals with your family and friends who sit together with you. And besides that, there are some fun facts about Western food that are actually originated in China. So for example, the first one is about ice cream. So people might have thought that ice cream is developed in the West, right? Or maybe that ice cream is developed in European countries. But actually, ice cream is not a Western discovery. Its origin actually dated back to 200 BC, and its origin is actually dated back to as far as 200 BC, when the Chinese Emperor Chengtang is said to have enjoyed it so much they kept it as a royal secret until Marco Polo came to China and then bring the idea and develop ice cream in Italy. The next one is about pasta. So pasta is also another creation of the Chinese people. In fact, archaeologists discovered a 4,000 years old bowl of intact noodles in China. Next is about ketchup. So there was actually ketchup from China, but it is made from fermented fish. Ketchup was brought by the British to the West, and then they developed it using the tomato as the main ingredients, and so we are able to see the current tomato ketchup shops on our shelves today. So that's the end of the video, and I hope this video is useful for you and you can get a new idea about Chinese food and develop your love to Chinese food even more. My favorite Chinese food that I can think of right now are Beijing Kaoya or the Peking duck, and then Qianping, Souchuaping, the stir-fried tomato and egg, sweet and sour pork, and there are just so many other type of Chinese food that I love that I can eat almost every day. So I'm also curious about what's your favorite Chinese food. Perhaps you can comment down below and to share with me and with other viewers as well regarding your favorite Chinese food. And if you have any recommendations of the places that people have to eat when they are in China, you can also share it on the comment section so we can share more information with each other and we can be helpful with other people who are going to visit China in the future. So yeah, I hope this video is useful for you and you can get a lot more information from this, and thank you for watching. Bye!